The time between sets can feel a little bit like a droll. People playing kind of the same things over and over again. You get a lot of that mono red right now. You get a lot of the black cards right now. And it's not that standard is not entertaining right now, but sometimes we're wanting to build something for the future. We want to build something for not today, not tomorrow, but for 6 months from now. Because if you really think about how Magic the Gathering Arena specifically works, is you collect cards from the newest set and all of Standard, all the way back from Instagrad, Midnight Hunt, and this is all fine, and this is mostly where I play. But every once in a while, especially when we're between sets, especially before rotation happens. Rotation is really my favorite time to play in Standard because there's so few options and you're just kind of bottlenecked into playing certain types of ways. But in that interim before that happens, I am very, very excited for Phyrexia All Will Be One. Very excited for that. But in these few weeks, up until we get those cards, I'm going to be playing a bit in Historic. And as you have seen before, and I clicked the wrong spot, we don't have a whole lot of Historic things on this account, and this account is a very budget account, so I am not about to spend hundreds of dollars to collect the stuff. So what I have decided to do in lieu of that is start to build out some Historic decks with budget cards that I already have and show them off to you. That's why this deck in particular is the highlight of this video. Welcome to Magic the Gathering Arena, where we are showcasing a very budget mono white build. And I say very budget because most of the cards that are in here are in Standard right now. As we can see, Cathar Commando is in Standard, so is the Imperial Recovery unit, and Gavony Dawnguard. We even have a few cards that are going to be in Standard for quite a while with the Recruitment Officer, the Lay Down Arms, and the Yotian Frontliner. I would imagine that most people, even if they just started this game in the last year or so, have most of these cards, or can craft them with wild cards that we've been saving, right? Either one of those two. You either have the wild cards to craft this pretty easily without hurting your economy, or you already have the cards laying around. I actually did not craft a single card to make this deck, and that's the true beauty of what this is doing. And the reason is because I started playing pretty heavily about 2 years ago, and we already had most of the tools that were outside of that from the previous Standard set with the Valorous Stance, the Twinblade Geist, Traveling Ministers, and the Distracting Geist. We had most of this stuff already in this collection, so we didn't have to do much to actually push this over the edge and get it into a position where we could go into Historic. Definitely wanted to not just put a bunch of Standard cards in there and then go into Historic. We could have done that. We definitely could have done that. But I chose to add things that were already in the Historic collection down here. We are already in Historic with this stuff. This stuff you cannot play in Standard, especially when it comes to the things in Strixhaven, which is all over in this deck. Right. So I have talked about this before, and I am just going to reiterate. If you want to skip forward a few minutes, if you're not interested, feel free to. But I think it is important to state that whenever we collect cards, no matter what the card is, it becomes important. It becomes a decent card, even if when it rotates away, you're using Sheldred for better part of 2 years, and then it rotates, you're like, oh golly gee, it just rotated. It doesn't matter, just play it in Historic, use it in Historic, and all the cards that you have collected using Sheldred will also join you in Historic and be part of your collection for the long term. I am almost 100% sure Magic our Wizards of the Coast are going to want to keep this game going for a long time. So time investment now equals card advantage later. And to prove that, this deck, as said, I have spent zero investment on this deck. It feels nice that I'm getting to the point where I do not have to invest anything time-wise to create a deck in particular, right? So the account is doing very well. We are growing it quite a bit, and now I am going to get off of my soapbox. We're going to talk about the deck, and then we're going to get into some matches. What are we doing with this deck? It is just a mono white aggro spam. We are just trying to do damage to the opponent, but we got a couple of things that make this really good. Traveling Minister just in here to give something +1/+0. That something is going to be the Twinblade Geist. It has double strike. Give it 2/1. Make it a 2/1. Swing in for 4 on turn 1. We could do that on turn 3 with the swing. It's pretty good stuff right there. We also have a bunch of other stuff like a 2/1 here and a 3/1 here. So these guys are going to get pretty big with the Traveling Minister, and when the Twinblade Geist dies, you can enchant something for double strike. Let's say we put it on the Cathar Commando. We can't have Brutal Cathar in here. That is indeed a rare. But you put it on this, it is a 3/1 with double strike. And then you could put the tap the Traveling Minister and make it a 4/1 with a double strike. Really nice. We're using things like Lay Down Arms and the where is it? Yeah, Valorous Stance to destroy target creature 4 or greater, or exile target creature for the number of planes that we control. Controller gains 3 life. So we got some removal, and this could either be removal or protection depending on what our need is at the time. Moving on, let's look at the back end of our deck. Distracting Geist, all it does is taps out a creature, and it's really nice to play for the disturbed cost on something that you also have a Twinblade Geist on it. We're going to get a bunch of these enchantments, these disturbed enchantments, back onto hopefully something like the Cathar Commando to get some heavy damage and rather rapidly. Yes, that is a plan that could blow up in your face rather quickly, which is why we have the Imperial Recovery unit in here, is whenever it attacks, return target creature or vehicle card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. All the things that we are really interested in using cost 2 or less for the most part. And, you know, Crew for 2 is really easy. And then he's a 3/4, attacks and gets a creature back out of the graveyard. It's pretty good, especially for a very budgety card, but especially for a mono white creature spam deck that's just trying to get damage off and destroy your opponent. And that leads us to Gavony Dawnguard. That's Ward 1, so he's a little bit harder to kill. For 2 white and a generic, it becomes day or night. First off, it starts that day-night cycle, and whenever it becomes day or night, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value 3 or less from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest of the bottom in any order. So, you're getting the creatures out of your deck. Most of this deck is actually creatures, right? If you look here, 29 creatures, 9 non-creatures, and the vehicle actually counts as a non-creature here. Really, the whole deck is basically creatures, and we do have 22 lands. Yes, 22. We're really low on lands. I know I complain about never getting lands, but that's for expensive decks. This deck is going to be very fast to the field. We want to make sure we're drawing our things. If we get 3 lands, we're good on lands for the most part. We want more lands, but we want creatures more. That's what this deck is intended to do. Just get a bunch of creatures out and attack. Why? Because we need practice. We need to see what's happening in Historic. A lot of people are scared of Historic because of the amount of cards that are in Historic. But the only way to learn about these cards is to actually go into Historic and play them, and it's not nearly as intimidating as you would think. Most of the time, if I'm not trying to be really competitive in Standard, I'm going to be playing in Historic, and I'm going to be playing some choppy little deck like this. So, that was a long introduction. Thank you for sticking around for that. Make sure that you've liked and subscribed on this video. We're going to do a couple of rounds, right? I'm going to play 10 rounds. I'm going to choose the ones that I think are the best and put them into this video. In the post game, we are going to talk about whether we want to build in Historic, or play in Historic and collect in Standard, or play in Standard and collect in Historic. And that's going to differ based off of either personal choice. Personal choice is definitely part of that, but it's also going to vary on how old or young your account actually is. Let's get in there. Let's see how this does. See you in a moment. Lay down arms, Frontliner, a Distracting Geist, and a Gavony Dawnguard. Dawnguard probably going to be doing pretty good dividends here for us. But we're going to start with the Frontliner. Our opponent says hello, so we throw him a little hello back. And let's see what we got here. Death Touch and Lifelink, huh? That is pretty gross. We can protect him. We can do lay down arms, but... maybe we're just trying to build. This is a sorcery. This is an instant. Let's see what he does. He probably blocks this. But I don't know if we actually want to protect the creature or not. I don't think we do. I think we let it go. We could cast him from the graveyard. So overall, he gains a life here. But that's all he does. Looks like another budget player for sure. That's another thing. Playing in the play queue, you're going to run into other budget players. It's a lot more frequent in Historic than it is in Standard. Like, when you're playing in the play queue, you're actually going to find some Historic, or some budget players. Another Child of the Night, and he passes turn. A lot of life gain for the opponent. It's kind of strange, right? Lay down arms. Let's start to get rid of his stuff. Okay. Distracting Geist. And now we're able to swing for a little bit more. We will not switch it to nighttime yet. We might switch it to night on our turn. A murder. A rarely seen murder. Coming in for 2. That is fine. Yeah, put it on him. Swing. Tapping that. Okay, moving on. Yep, opponent down to 2 cards. We have 2.5, I'm going to call it. Really nice ability there on Knight of Ebon Legion. This is an instant. So here's what we do. Tap that. If he wants a block here, he can. We need to dig into our library a little bit and try to find some things. Okay. Okay, we could grab another Geist. We could grab another Gavony Dawnguard. We could grab the Fleeting Spirit, which is what I think we do. He has good protection on that card. Now, we Valorous Stance whenever he pumps a Knight of Ebon Legion. Get rid of this. Here's a pump. Resolve. And kill it. Shouldn't have much in the option of what's going to happen here. But there is a stick. That life gain from the Child of Night is pretty brutal. Now we got a double cast here. Starting here. Swings. Tapping that. We gotta start to try to get this damage off. I know that lifelink stuff is really hurting us. Who would put that into such a game as this? Go really wide. And now he can't really swing. Which is great for us. And we could start digging into our library. I almost said graveyard. Twinblade Geist is kind of where we want to be. After you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on a bloodthirsty aerialist. So we got to watch out for this aerialist for sure. M20 set. Are we just swinging? Yeah, let's just swing. To hell with the consequences. Tap that lifelink. Put a 1/1 counter right here. Now anything could kill this aerialist. He doesn't have a good block. Oh, except for the frontliner, maybe. Uh-huh. He just blocks the Recruitment Officer. We'll activate the ability. And we're going to grab out the Cathar Commando. And then that's it. Takes him down to 9. End turn. It goes to night. We reach down, we grab the frontliner, and yep, there we go. Coming out with the Cathar Commando here next. Lifelink and Death Touch loves those lifelink, guys. Absolutely loves lifelink. Here he comes for 2. Cathar Commando. Block it. Gets a little bit bigger. Huh. Exile 3 cards for your game, or from your graveyard, huh? Trying to think of a way around this, and I don't think we have one. Yeah, he just kind of jumped on us a little bit fast. Yep, reaching down, grabbing another fleeting spirit. Bloodthirsty aerialist. We can survive this next turn, but it's going to be really hard for us to actually win this game. He is at 11, but that lifelink throughout the game has been pretty brutal for us. We need to find a way to get rid of the aerialist, and now we have 2 of those to deal with. Valorous Stance can do that. Swing. Tap that. Tap that. Tap. Oh, wait. Give a 1/1, my bad, to the Geist. And give... What am I doing now? I'm going to target the Geist again. Didn't realize I have both Yotian Frontliners out here. So, the beauty about this is I think I've actually won. Especially if he does that for blocks. He has a block the Geist. He does. And this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Puts him to 10. Okay. Kill that. He should be at 1. He says good game. But he doesn't realize I have a Valorous Stance. Okay, what did you draw? Okay, vampire thing. You fell into my little trap. There it is. There it is. Okay. So, he's up to 2. I'm down to 4. We take 3. And he goes up to 3. We go to my turn. We swing. Oh, my God. Valorous Stance for the win. I thought he had me there. I thought he had me. But no, no. The aggro, mono white, just creature spam. So, seems like it did pretty good. That disturbed stuff really kind of helped out. Really liked it. It was really enjoyable. Couple of mana, Traveling Ministers. I mean, that's a good way to gain some early life. Try to draw to the things that we need. Gavony Dawnguard. We only have 2 mana, so hopefully we draw a 3rd mana. I'm keeping this. This is a bad keep. This is me being a little bit too aggressive. Don't keep this hand. Mana ramp. You control 4 or more creatures. Instead, add 2. Mana ramp indeed. We're going to go with Fleeting Spirit. We're going to tap. Gain a life. That's it. Now, he's going to have some crazy creatures come out because this is really saying that he's going wide. If an artifact or a creature entering the battlefield causes triggered ability of a permanent you control trigger. That ability triggers an additional time, and that's all he has. So far we are alive. We are well. Come on. There we go. Tap it. Give it +1/+1. Or +1/+0. And get the Dawnguard running. End turn. Okay. Risen Reef. Okay. Pretty good card. Really good card for kind of a creature deck. And put it on, if you don't put that card, put it into your hand. Right. So if he or another elemental enters the battlefield under your control, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. If you don't put the card onto the battlefield, put it into your hand. So that is a guy that's got to go bye-bye. Yes, and removal on my turn because that is a sorcery, my friends. Let's put it here. Gain another life. Swing in. He takes it down to 10, and now let's kill his mana ramp. Yeah, baby. Hopefully he has things that are way too big to cast. Okay, or you just have another Risen Reef. I mean, that's what I have come to expect. Mana for turn, Gilded Goose. So he's creating some food. Haven't seen that in a while. Yeah, creates his food. And he can create food repeatedly. It's not necessarily great for us. I'm going to swing wide. Maybe trading the Riven Reef with the Fleeting Spirit. He's got to do something to protect his life total. But we get to see a Gilded Goose and a Risen Reef. Too bad Oko's illegal now. He's actually going to trade off the Goose here. And we're going to go to Knight. Just to try to get a creature out of our library. And of course we're grabbing the only one that's available. Twinblade Geist. That would have probably been the choice anyway. We double spell next turn and uh-oh. That's good. That is very good. Quasi-duplicate. Create a token that's a copy of a creature you control. And he does it again. Okay. So basically what he's doing is he's creating elementals to dig into his library. Look at that. That is insane card draw. Yeah, quasi-duplicate, quite the card. Especially on the Risen Reef where you just draw 50 cards. But he's out of mana. We get to dig a little bit deeper as well. We're going to go with the Twinblade Geist. We get a Commando as well. All right, we need the we need the life. Swing. Huh. We could discard a card. We will. And I'm thinking about double casting here regardless, but I don't know. Something tells me I need to dig a little bit deeper, but we're going to do it. If he has the answer for this, if he wins this in the next few rounds, he does. But we got to keep playing our game, building out our field. Yarok. Wish I had the removal. We used 2 lay down arms, probably prematurely. So many cards. Enter the battlefield causes an ability of a permanent you control to trigger. That triggers at additional time. And when he enters the battlefield, your creature's opponents get -2/-2 till the end of turn. That wipes my field. That destroys my gameplay. And we're going to just scoop it on away. Worm was just too much for us. Minister, Frontliner, Commando, Fleeting Spirit. We got creatures. That's what we need in this deck. Miniature comes out next. Or do we do Fleeting Spirit? Uh-oh. That's a little bit big. Yeah. We just pass. We just pass. Hopefully he runs into the Commando. Okay. Integrity counters. Ingenuity counters. Put an artifact card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield. Okay. Aha. See, that is smart. Oh, wow. Artifact spam. Going to my turn, getting a Commando out. And lay down arms, huh? Grow it. We got to get this guy out of here fast. We could get rid of this, and I think that is kind of worth it because this is a brutal creature. Sorcery, have to play it on this turn. And let's go with a Traveling Minister. Keep that life total up a little bit, as well as getting a little bit of extra damage off. We could also go wide with it. Okay, so his mana is fully ramped. Can he beat my aggro? Another lay down arms. I think I went to attacks. Yeah, we'll just go wide. Kind of goofed that up a little bit. Should have tapped the Traveling Minister, but then we're not sure to get as much damage off as we would otherwise. So, you know, I did it on purpose. It wasn't a mistake. I don't make mistakes. This is just for creatures, so we can't really do anything here. I'm down to 2 cards. He's down to 2 cards. Alright, pops the Hedron and draws 3. The Dreamstone is there. And the Paradox Engine. Uh-oh. That is mana for days. Okay. Whenever guys attacks, tap target creature an opponent controls. Put it here. Put it here. Still playing our game, building the field out. We're probably attacking with the Imperial Recovery unit when we can. We just got to survive this turn. He pops the the archive, but he can't get past our aggro. I was really worried about that. Only 2 mana, a couple Imperial Recovery units. I think we get rid of that one. And stick around with this for sure. Get rid of one of the Geists. Really cool sleeves from the opponent. Really like that. But we're a budget player. We can't afford all that fancy stuff. Alright, Twinblade Geist comes out. Here's another forest, a sliver. No, sir. Each sliver in your graveyard has Unearth 2. Okay. Commandos aren't going to be great. There's going to be bigger stuff that come out. Let's swing. He's going to let it by. And go ahead and end turn. If he swings back, we Cathar Commando. Slivered you control have first strike. Well, that kind of kills that. Got to get that off of the field. It's exiled, so he doesn't get it back. Swing. Whole lot of nothing. And now the Gavony Dawnguard. Okay, we were able to outpace it quite a bit here. Another Dawnguard. And we went to Night, so we're double spelling here for sure. We're just going to put them out now. Swing. And we get to do this twice. So we're going with Distracting Geist. And we're going to go with Gavony Dawnguard again. Gavony Dawnguard is really good. Oh, opponent decided he was done. But the Gavony Dawnguard, especially getting 2 or 3 of these guys on the field, it's just brutal for your opponent. Absolutely brutal because you're getting all of your creatures out of your deck. Then you just draw lands. Okay, this is a keep. We got creatures, we got land. What else do we want? Go with the Recruitment Officer. Land, swing, and Geist. It is a warrior, so maybe he's saying I'm doing warrior soldier kind of deck. We're not. Black. And this is mana ramp. I think we ignore the mana ramp. We gotta lay down arms that kill any creatures that get in our way. Shambling Ghast. Solve the equation. Look for an instant or sorcery. Reveal it. Put it into your hand. Shuffle. Gotta get that off of the field. Exile it. And now we're actually in a position where we have to kill this. Because that's mana ramp getting him closer to blood on the snow. That's why you run Snowlands in Historic. I think they're ugly, but they kind of have to be run. Get rid of it. Shambling Ghast. Draws 2 cards. Loses a couple of life. We do have the Distracting Geist. So we tap out that Ghast, and we get our damage off as normal. Down to 3, 4. So he's still lacks the land he needs. And getting this other fleeting spirit out, if he plays another creature here, then he still loses. And that's it. All right. We're going to the post-game wrap. We're going to talk a little bit about like when, players should go into Historic, why they should, why I have been in the past couple of videos. So I'm still playing a lot of Standard, and we'll be going back to it once Phyrexia All Will Be One comes out. We're going to be going back. We're going to be looking at those cards in very significant detail. But there's a lot of other creators that are going through what those spoilers are, but my channel is not large enough to do that yet. And being a budget player, I have to spend time in the arena. I have to spend time winning games. For that reason, I will let them do their thing for now, and I will continue to make content, but I am moving over to Historic for a few weeks in order to showcase something very important. Whenever Standard becomes a little bit stale, which to me it seems just a little bit stale. Standard is fantastic right now, but black and mono black decks, mono red decks are just way too prevalent for my taste on a consistent basis. So I'm going to move over to Historic for a bit. I kind of want to build out this collection anyway to go mostly into Historic. A lot of cool combos, like you just saw my squirrel video that came out a few days ago, and all that. So it's more my taste over time. But when should you play in Standard and when should you play in Historic? Standard is there for a bit of a grind. We are grinding to get rank, to get competitive. I didn't have a heck of a lot of time in the past month or so I had to call it at tier 2 platinum. This is all about the grind. The ladder is about the grind for sure. So didn't have time to grind for it. So didn't ever get up to the mythic level. So I just kind of thought, you know what? There's a few days left in the month. It's Sunday, it's the 29th, no way we're getting to Mythic today, so why don't I sit back, relax, and play some budget aggro Historic stuff that we saw last year in the arena, mostly for Standard. So people should be fairly familiar with all of these cards, how it works together, and we're just jumping on our opponent before they have time to react, right? But we're talking about when you should be going to Historic. Well, that's going to be fairly simple. It really depends on when you started playing and where your card collection is at the time. Every year, these cards rotate away, and if you play pretty consistently for a year, this was no money spent at all. And as you can see, I have a decent amount collected in all of these sets, even though I wasn't like grindy trying to build out a collection. I was just playing whenever I had an hour or two, I'm doing the adulting stuff most of the time. So yeah, you get a decent amount of the cards out of it, and lo and behold, I was able to do this deck without any form of investment at all. I played this deck yesterday quite a bit, and then today I decided to make a video on it. That's when you want to kind of go to Historic. If you're brand new and this is your first season in the arena, maybe Standard is where you're sticking because all of your cards are in Standard, and going into Historic might seem like a bit of a challenge. It's better to learn your mechanics, learn how to play well, learn what you want to play, and then start leaning towards Historic after your first year. If you are already a Magic the Gathering player and are playing in the arena, maybe you jump right into Historic. It doesn't really matter, but here's the thing with Historic. This deck will always do what this deck does. It will never rotate. It will never change unless you want it to change. And there's a lot of strength to that whenever thinking about your economy, because you don't have to bust hundreds of wild cards in order to do what you want to do with the deck. And then those cards do not rotate very quickly. They stick around. They continue to do exactly what they do best. Historic is actually the most budget of a budget you can get in the arena and in real life. If you're playing Standard in real life and busting $60 on each copy of Shieldred, and then 2 years later it rotates away. It's a real feels bad moment. But if you're playing Shieldred and historic stuff and all that, right, just regular Magic, then it's a feels good moment, because you get to always play Shieldred the Apocalypse, and there's a lot of strength to that. This being a budget deck, I wanted to throw this together with just cards I had lying about, just accidentally collected over time. So there's always something to do in the arena. You just have to figure out what you want to do as a player. As for me, I will continue to play a lot of Standard, but whenever new sets coming out in a few weeks and this and that, I am going to Historic. Why? Because I know for a fact that this deck will do the same thing next year and the same thing the year after that. Will it still be good then? Probably not. This is a very budget deck. But is it still going to do what it does? Absolutely. No changes needed. Thank you for joining today. Make sure you've liked the video if you did enjoy the content, and subscribe to the channel if you are feeling oh so generous. All right, come to that point in that video where I am out of words. Bye.